What's going on, everybody? Today, what I want to do is talk about tips to overcome procrastination. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I just got off a phone call with a long, and I mean long time friend. And this friend of mine, I usually only talk to her once every 6, 7, or 8 months. And every time I speak to her, and this has been going on for maybe about 3 or 4 years now, she tells me she wants to quit her job and venture out and try something new. Now, this woman, she's in her late 20s. She doesn't have any kids. She isn't in a relationship. And she's done pretty well for herself, meaning she has a good amount of money saved up. She's been working in corporate. She's rose up the ranks, uh, made a bunch of money, has a bunch of money in her savings account. She has probably some investments. So she has the money, if she wanted to actually quit her job and go try something new. She has a safety net. But she's been telling me this now for the last 2 or 3 years. And the reason why she said is because every time she thinks about it, she procrastinates. Every time she thinks about coming up with a plan to actually get out of her job and go do something new, she starts to procrastinate. And for the first time ever, she actually asked me for some advice because she started actually teasing me a bit. She's like, Lou, you're like this all-knowing guru now on social media. You give out a bunch of advice. Can you give me some advice to overcome this procrastination that she's going through? And I said, sure. And I gave her some profound advice. It's the advice I'm about to give you guys. It's really, really good on overcoming procrastination. But the problem is, there's a problem here. Want to know it? The problem is, I'm being a hypocrite. And the reason why I'm being a hypocrite is because right now, as of today, it is April 16th, about 11 p.m. It's about to be April 17th. My rent was due on April 15th. And it's not that I don't have the money, but I've been saying since probably April 7th, I should just write my check and go drop it off in the super's mailbox. I've been saying this since April 7th. So for the last 10 days, I've been talking about writing my check and dropping it off in the mailbox. I just haven't done it yet. On top of that, my Spectrum internet bill was due on April 9th. So it's been 7 days overdue. And all I got to do is pick up the phone, and they already have my debit card saved. They're going to ask me for my number, the automation. They're going to ask me for my number. I just got to say yes, pay bill. And they're going to ask me, do you want to use the credit card or the debit card we have on file? All I got to do is say yes. And I've been talking about doing this probably since April 3rd. Still haven't done it. So despite the profound advice I gave her, I'm being a huge hypocrite because I'm procrastinating. I'm procrastinating on paying my rent. I'm procrastinating on paying my Spectrum bill. And I realize there's reasons to this. There's reasons why we procrastinate. So I figure I go over them. Before I actually give you the tips, why not go over why we all procrastinate? Because I think we all do it to some degree. And the answer is very, very simple. And I've talked about this in the previous video. The reason why we all procrastinate is because we're wired to. What do I mean by wired to? There's a part of our brain called the reptilian part of our brain. This part of our brain is very ancient. This is the part of our brain we primarily lived in hundreds of thousands of years ago when we were hunter-gatherers. This part of our brain, because it's still stuck in the past, still believes that food, calories, is extremely scarce, meaning back in the day, 100,000 years ago, when we used to have to hunt for our food, we used to have to work together in the tribe, all of that. It did everything it can to make sure we survived. And the main way it made sure we survived is by conserving calories, by making us do pretty much nothing that wasn't unnecessary, and it made us procrastinate. It made us not try anything new. It made us not do anything dangerous. Like in her case, her brain saying, hey, it's just safer to stay where you're at. So this is the main reason why we procrastinate, because the reptilian part of our brain believes that food, calories, are very, very scarce. It doesn't know that we have food in our fridge. It doesn't know that we could order Uber Eats and DoorDash and get food pretty much on demand. So it does everything in its power to keep us where we're at unless a dangerous situation occurs. So, understanding this and knowing why we procrastinate, what are we going to do about it? Well, there's different versions of procrastination, right? So, why haven't I paid my rent yet? Why haven't I paid my Spectrum bill yet? Is it because my brain believes it's actually dangerous? No, it's not. The main reason why my brain doesn't believe it's dangerous, and which is why it's not getting me to actually move, is because I've paid my rent late in the past before. I've paid my Spectrum bill late in the past before. Guess what? There was no penalties. Because there isn't really a major deadline, there's no major urgency, this is why we procrastinate. So one of the reasons why we procrastinate is because our brain believes time, the time we have here on planet Earth, is infinite. So my brain still believes that it's just April 17th. I still got time to pay my rent. I've paid my Spectrum bill a whole month late before, where I had to pay 2 months of Spectrum before. And this gives my brain proof to say, hey, there's no urgency here. There's no reason for me to actually pick up the phone, call the Spectrum number and say, hey, I'm going to pay my $100 Spectrum bill. There's no reason for me to rush to my Super's mailbox and drop the check. However, if there was urgency, for instance, let's say my landlord did penalize me, you best believe I would pay my rent on time more often. And I usually do pay my rent on time, but there's been months where, I've been living at the place I'm in now for about 10 years. There's been times where I've paid it on like the 18th or the 19th or the 20th where nothing bad has happened. There was no penalty. Same thing with my Spectrum bill. I've gone as far as a whole month late, even though I have the money. So, first tip to overcoming procrastination: you have to place a little urgency on yourself. You have to give yourself a deadline. And for her, she has not given herself a deadline because she believes she has time. She's in her late 20s. She's still got time. But the older she gets, she's going to start to realize that, hey, I don't have the time. I got to make the decision now or never. Now or never. So that's the first tip to overcome procrastination, is learn to set a little bit of deadlines with what you're doing. Place a penalty for yourself if you don't take the required action. So that's the first tip. Give yourself a deadline. Tip number 2, you gotta take baby steps. Like I said before, the reptilian part of our brain loves to conserve calories. So what you gotta kind of do is you gotta start rationalizing, you gotta start negotiating with the reptilian part of your brain. Now, how I do this for the most part is I gotta make the next required step as easy as possible. So for instance, a thing that I used to procrastinate on most was this. What do I mean by this? Making content, particularly long form content where I'm just speaking to the camera, or long form content where I'm doing stretch videos and talking. And the reason why I would procrastinate on so much was because I made it difficult for myself to record. Because the more difficult I made something, the less likely I was to do it. Until recently, I had a friend tell me, why don't I just carry a camera stand with me all the time and carry a microphone? And since he's told me this advice, and he made it easier for me to record by just simply having a camera stand. So I always have a camera stand. I have a backpack now. I carry everywhere with me. I carry a microphone with me. So whenever I think of an idea to talk about, for instance, I just got off the phone with my friend and I said, oh, let me talk about this. Let me talk about procrastination. How to overcome it. Make it easy. You have to negotiate with your brain that, hey, we're going to just take baby steps. We're going to make it easy. We're not going to burn that many calories by doing this little simple easy step. So for instance, for me, sometimes I procrastinate with the dishes and there'll be a lot of dishes piled up. One of the things I do with the dishes, when the dishes start to pile up, and I know I gotta do the dishes, but for me, doing dishes is very, very annoying. What I sometimes do is I take all the dishes out the sink and only leave like 2 or 3, and I take all the rest of the dishes, the dirty dishes, and I put it on the stove, and I trick my brain. I say, hey, I'm just gonna wash these 2 dishes for now. That's all I'm gonna do. And what happens is usually, for the most part, when I wash those 2 dishes, because there's only 2 dishes left in the sink, it doesn't look as overwhelming. So I'm kind of tricking my brain into washing the dishes. Then from there, once I wash the 2 dishes, I grab another 2 dishes off the stove, particularly if there's like 20 dishes. And I slowly, in manageable chunks, wash the dishes. And sometimes I get through all of them. Sometimes maybe I only get through 6. And there's 20, so there's 14 left. But it's better that I got started, because then I could do the same thing tomorrow. I could make it more manageable. So what you have to do, if you're struggling with procrastination, you need to figure out a way to make your next step. You have to negotiate with your brain, your reptilian part of your brain that believes calories are scarce. You have to ask yourself, how can I make the next step, the next hard step, as easy as possible? In my case, particularly when it comes to making content like this, I have a camera stand with me all the time. I have a microphone with me. I charge it. I'm ready to go whenever an idea comes. Whenever I have an opportunity to make content, I just take out the camera stand, connect the phone, connect the mic, and make the content. Now, if I was going to try to make the content all perfect, then I realized the content's not going to be perfect. A lot of people don't like this. Some people complain the fact that I'm walking and talking through a park or the city. There's a lot of distractions. There's people around. But for me, what this is helping me do is get in rhythm. By making the next step as easy as possible, it could get me into rhythm. So that's the second key, is make the next step easy by negotiating with your reptilian part of your brain that still believes calories are scarce. It doesn't want to burn calories because it still thinks that food is scarce because it's afraid you're going to die. It literally believes, procrastination, the reason for procrastination is because your brain believes you're going to die. It prevents you from doing things, like for instance, anything that requires you to use energy and concentrate. And remember, concentration, I said this in the previous video, when you sit down and actually concentrate and focus and do that paper or do that task, you're burning a lot of calories mentally. It's been proven that chess players, when they actually sit down and play chess and really, really concentrate for 12 hours, they burn upwards of like 6,000 calories. So realize, to your brain, to the reptilian part of your brain, it believes you're probably going to die. So it'll start sending signals to you to distract yourself, to distract you from doing the task that actually requires you to focus on. So what you got to do is make the next available task as easy as possible, like I did with just having the camera stand. Another thing too with the urgency, it's very, very interesting when it comes to urgency, because there's a part of our brains that believes we have all the time in the world. And I'll talk to you about this, where I live in New York City, and a lot of native New Yorkers, if you talk to them and ask them, have they ever been to the Empire State Building? Have they ever been to the Statue of Liberty? Have they ever been to the Museum of Modern Art? All these things that tourists come here to see. Most New Yorkers will tell you no. And there's a reason for that because of urgency, what we talked about in the first part, where New Yorkers believe they could go and see the Empire State Building, the Museum of Modern Art, the Statue of Liberty at any time because it's right there. As opposed to tourists, when they actually come into our town, they realize that, hey, if we don't see it now, this is my first time in New York, this might be my last time in New York. If I don't go right now, I might never get the chance to see it. So again, going back to urgency, place a deadline on yourself. And the third thing we could talk about is with my friend's situation, is you need to release the hidden forces in your brain, in your ego that believes you're not good enough to go after, to do what it is you set your mind to do. So for her, there's a part of her that believes she's not good enough to quit her corporate job and actually go and venture out and potentially chase her dream. So what she has to do, if the urgency is not working, if making the next available step as easy as possible is not working, what she has to do is the deep shadow work that I teach, the somatic shadow work, where you go deep into your body and you find the feelings, the sensations, the triggers, the trauma, the stuff that you've buried, that you've resisted, that's actually controlling you from the depths of your being, from your shadow, from the closet of your unconscious. This stuff is actually controlling us. The stuff that we hide from is actually controlling us. What she has to go do, and if she chooses to do it, and I would love to work with her, but I don't think she would ever work with me. What she has to do is go and release some of that stuff. Now, how do you release some of that stuff? It's really, really simple, but it's not easy. What she has to do is when she goes and tries to make the plans to change her life, whatever that is, there's gonna be resistance that comes up within her. So for instance, when I first started making content, there was a part of me that felt like I can't do this. Who am I to give advice? There's so many people on social media that are better than me. All of this stuff started to come up. And what I had to do was the work that I'm doing. When the stuff came up, it's not saying to stop making content and work on this stuff, but as I'm doing the content, as I'm talking to the camera, and I feel the resistance come up, I need to accept it, allow it to be there, allow it to flow. That way, in time, the more I practice just being aware of it and accepting it, the pain that holds me back will pass on through. And those are really the 3 tips, man. They're very, very effective. Remember, your reptilian part of your brain doesn't want you to do anything dangerous, doesn't want you to do anything new. It believes in a way that everything is dangerous, and at the same time, you have all the time in the world. So what you got to do is start placing a little bit of urgency on yourself, place a few deadlines. Like I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, all right, I should go home right now and pay my rent, and actually place a imaginary deadline on myself, go pay my Spectrum bill. And that's probably what I'm going to do as soon as I get off this video is pay my Spectrum bill. Place a deadline on yourself. Next, make the next step as easy as possible. Remember, you got to negotiate with your brain. So remember the tip I gave about with the dishes. As opposed to me trying to tackle all 20 dishes, I took 18 of the dishes out, put it to the side, and left only 2 in the sink, and then started washing the 2, and slowly did this and knocked out the dishes slowly, made it easy. That way I tricked my brain into believing this is easy. It's not gonna burn, it's not gonna expend that many calories. And then the third thing you could do after the urgency, after making it easy, is do the shadow work. Release the hidden forces that are holding you back. Now, for a lot of you, if you're interested and you're new to the channel, please check out some of my meditations. There's a great meditation I have that I posted about 3 weeks ago. It was called, it was like a shadow work meditation. Check that meditation out, where it's like, I'm not enough. Because a lot of times what happens with people is they don't feel like they're enough. So in that meditation, what I do is I take you down, I make you feel the feeling of not feeling enough. Allow yourself to accept it, Don't resist it. And hopefully, if you continuously practice this, in time, it will be released. So those are my 3 tips for overcoming procrastination. I hope you got a little bit of value from this. If you did, please leave any feedback in the comments. Peace.